Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. Okay, as we keep going through this and watch what's going on in the country over and over and over again, it really strikes me the war on law enforcement. If you saw yesterday, overnight, you had a small riot in Boston where you had over 100 people go in and attack cops, set a squad car on fire, chasing the cops away. You had Los Angeles basically declare a state of emergency because, oh my God, law enforcement is trying to uphold the law. You see Antifa, every radical leftist group out there, kill the pigs, do all this sort of stuff. There's just a war on law enforcement, and it dumbfounds me because you think about the men and women that are cops, okay? Whether the local sheriff, whether they're federal agents, whatever. Sure, they voluntarily took the job. But do you honestly think they get any sort of sick enjoyment about, hauling people to jail? No, not really, okay? Do you think they like being the first one on the scene of a car wreck and trying to save somebody's life, extricate them from a car, maybe see a kid in the back seat, be the first person to come across a dead body? Do you think they like to be the one getting shot at or attacked? Do you think they like to be the one who misses kids' birthday parties, Thanksgiving dinner, opening Christmas presents because they have to go to work? Without law, we're in anarchy. Again, we can all go back to watch the movie Mad Max and see what happens, right? And yet we have a large sector of this country that tries to dehumanize and disrespect law enforcement. It's just sickening. Because it's always funny that the people who, nope, you're not arresting me, nope, you don't have the authority to pull me over, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are always the first ones to go, I've got to call the police because somebody stole my Nikes. It's funny how the person that you hate, as they so openly say, is all of a sudden your best friend when you need them. So it's perfectly okay for you to break the laws all day long, right? I'm not saying people here, I'm talking about the radicals. It's okay for them to break the laws all day long, and cops shouldn't do anything. But when somebody does something to them, where are the police? Why aren't they here helping me? Explain that one to me real quick. Thought you didn't want any police. You're on your own. You wonder sometimes about the radio traffic that goes through over the police radios, or the conversations at Dunkin' Donuts. Oh my God, John Smith again. Who'd you arrest this week? John for the 18th time for domestic abuse or DUI or something like that. Yeah, that's their job. No different than your job is to go change the oil in people's cars or check out the people in Walmart or whatever. Their job is to make sure that you can go to your job changing oil and nobody's going to firebomb the building. Or you can go to your job at Walmart and make sure that nobody's going to come in and stick it up. That's their job. And they do it voluntarily. And a large percentage of this country doesn't want them to exist. Defund the police. Can you honestly imagine what would happen if we didn't have law enforcement? No speed limits, right? Gee, you can do 90 miles an hour through a school zone. Who cares? How many dead kids do we have? Right? And then who would be the first one on the scene scraping the bodies up with the shovel? Well, I didn't do anything wrong. The kids shouldn't have been in the street. It's usually the defense that you hear all the time when somebody is doing something stupid. And fortunately, it doesn't happen as often as it would if there were no consequences. This is the whole thing. You know, we talk about in this community putting a MAG together, a group together, a mutual assistance group for people who don't know what the acronym stands for. And you hear all these people saying, oh, you know, we're a bunch of soldiers. Great. Okay. But you need everything else. You need doctors, you need cooks, you need everything. Get to know the cops because they're local. You get some National Guardsman, let's say in my area, who comes in from even Knoxville, an hour away. They don't know the area. I've told you many times. I've talked to people in Knoxville who have no idea where Sharps Chapel is, right? And yet we're a mile north or an hour north of them on the lake, okay? Where people love to go take long weekends. But the local cop, the sheriff, he knows who the bad guys are in the area. He knows every back road. He knows every hiding place. He's a great person for having intelligence. They're, most of them, well-trained in a lot of urban issues, okay, whether it's breaching a building, whether it's defense, whether it's taking cover, depending on where you are. Most of them are pretty good with the weapon. Might be somebody worth getting to know. And then you look at, let's say they're not part of your group. How about having contacts with somebody else, that law enforcement officer, who could be a good ally? Maybe they're not the one that you're sharing tomatoes with, but if something goes wrong, you have somebody to contact and say, hey, Joe, we got problems over here. And all of a sudden, his whole group shows up to help you. As opposed to the other side saying they think they have problems. You know, we're trying to attack this place and we have problems. Okay. We encounter law enforcement most days of our lives. Okay. You go into town. Maybe you see a cop at the restaurant having lunch or a cup of coffee. Maybe you pass one in the grocery store or the Walmart. Maybe they're filling the car up with gas or something as you go. Stop and say thanks. Because 5 minutes from now, his radio may go off about, I don't know, some little girl that was just kidnapped out of the school. He may have to go clean up after a car accident. There may be a bank robbery. He may not make it home to his family tonight. Chances are you will. Your job isn't nearly as dangerous. But they walk into the unknown every day, not because they necessarily enjoy what they do, but they certainly enjoy why they do it. Because without people enforcing the laws, writing them is useless. And Congress needs to learn that. Pinball out.